Greetings and welcome to In-Depth. I'm Dike Rostant. 20 years after its start in 2002, the On-the-Job Training Division remains committed to being a gateway to careers. Now, we spoke with Director Joann David in 2021, where she hinted at big things on the horizons. Now, we check in now on the tail end of the 20-year anniversary. Thank you so much for making the time, Ms. David. And I want us to start off with a small recap, thank you, in terms of the objectives of the OJT program, please.
Thank you, BK, for having me at the end of our 20th anniversary year. And yes, the on-the-job training program, in terms of its objective, is to provide opportunity for young graduates to get that world of work experience that is so critical for them to get sustainable employment in the labor market. They graduate with their certification, but most times they're not ready for the world of work, and that is our objective, to provide them with 24 months training in the workplace so that they can be mentored and they can get the necessary skills and competencies that they need in order to transition into the world of work.
And in terms of those, the last time we had the conversation, you actually bore down on the fact that many times, yes, this 24 months can actually be a practical foot in the door because you give the opportunity for people to see what you are made of, to say, yes, we want to go forward with this individual, but it also gives the opportunity for emotional intelligence and things of that nature to be groomed, because it's one thing to say, okay, well, yes, I know the theoretical aspects of it, I can do the work, but how do I function with people? Is that something that you're still paying a lot of attention to?
That is our focus, BK, because they already come to us certified in most instances. They would have gone through the academic stream, in most instances, sometimes the skill stream, and then they come to us with their certification that says that they have basically completed the academics. But that soft skills development, more and more the employers are looking for that soft skill. They are not so much focused on the certification because a lot of young people come out with that certification, but they're looking for the talent, they're looking for the soft skills development. And we at the OJT are more focused in providing them with the opportunity not only to go into the workplace with their technical background and certification, but for them to be able to hone in on their soft skills development, which really, in a lot of instances, is what really put them above the rest in a lot of instances.
Having that cream rising to the top. But if COVID is a time marker, say before and after, what are some of those main differences of new services introduced before and during this 20th anniversary, Ms. David?
Oh, BK, we use that COVID period, notwithstanding that we were essential and we still had almost 4,000 trainees to service on the program. The fact remains is that we still use the COVID period to look at some of the internal processes and to look and focus on a lot of our service delivery and try to put things in place to improve the service delivery um, for young people and our training providers. So during that period in 2020, we would have focused a lot on the quality of the training, not only the numbers and placing, 400 trainees a month, but the quality of the training that the providers were providing when we put them in there for 24 months. So with that, we would have developed some monitoring and evaluation tools, and those were already approved by the ministry's permanent secretary, and we would have met with providers. So what we were looking at basically over that 2-year period and now implementing at the end of this 20th anniversary period is those monitoring and evaluation tools that speak to, we are placing these trainees here, but with a purpose and a focus on their occupational interests. And therefore, those technical skills that has to be developed, we are looking at the work program that you are developing as a provider. And then we are also looking at the evaluation. Every 6 months, we want to be able to evaluate what you say you were going to deliver. So those monitoring and evaluation tools that we have delivered is important. And recently we had a train the trainer, because not everybody in the workplace who comes on to the program as a provider is ready to train, is capable of training, do they know what the training is about? Yes, they are employed with the company, but are they ready to train young people and to take that mentorship role with them? So we had a trainee program, meeting with the providers, letting them know what our expectations are for the delivery of quality training over the 2-year period. So when they finish with the 2 years, they could definitely say that they were able to build on those competencies needed for their occupational areas, and obviously the soft skills development, which we also take part in making sure that we deliver from the Ministry of Labor, OJT division.
I like the fact that you talk about, you give us those numbers, and but you also talk about quality of service delivery. Now, in terms of the numbers, though, if I read correctly, as of September this year, there were about 4,200, like 4172 trainees enrolled. Now, but break down that spread for me, though, please, in terms of were there among public sector, private sector, civil organizations, NGOs, and at what qualification level? Because there are different qualification levels as well.
Yes, yes. So as of September, when we would have closed off the fiscal period, we had just about placed an additional 2,864 trainees on the program during that last fiscal, bringing us to about 4,172 trainees active functioning in the program. And that would have gone between the public sector, 4,000 plus, close to about 80 persons in the private sector, and we do support NGOs. So we had some trainees, about 85 of them, in the NGO sector. So definitely we have that level, and the trainees at all levels. We had persons with their master's degree, just about around 100. We had persons with a BSc, about 1,000 of them were in the program. Another 1,000 of those persons with their CXC and A-level subject areas in the program. So we do have trainees at all levels, because even at the master's level, you find that persons do their master's and cannot get that niche area where they really want to study. So they do come through the OJT program, and we are able to place them for that 24 months after they complete their master's and their BScs.
And really something to look at and laud in terms of your efforts. We continue the conversation when we return. We are speaking with the director of the OJT program or division, Ms. Joann David. Stay with us. We return with more. Welcome back. We are looking at the achievements and goals connected to the on-the-job program. We're doing so with Director Joann David. And Ms. David, one of the things that you spoke of in terms of building capacity, building qualification, well, quality of service delivery, it seems as though that did not just go into the people who enrolled in the program, it also went into staff. The division has held capacity building exercises from as far back as January this year. Now, was the rationale behind that? And itemize some of those things that you would have had in that rollout, please.
Dike, when we talk service delivery, we talk people, and we have to be in the business of people when we have to improve the service. And therefore, it is the staff of the OJT that is delivering that service that you want to improve. So how do you build that capacity to be able to make sure that they are delivering based on the standard you want to set? And therefore, I felt it's important, and the support did come, unwavering from the Ministry of Labor's Permanent Secretary and the executive, for us to be able to focus on a lot of the capacity that we needed to see in the staff of the OJT, and to fill those gaps where the stakeholders were saying, hello, you're falling down in these areas. And you know that we brought on a psychologist late last year, and we started there. We started with looking at your health and wellness balance of the staff, because we do a lot, and we have that 400 trainees that we have to service is not an easy task. And therefore, we needed to make sure they understood that we just not about task driven. We were also people focused and people centered. So we started with that your health is your wealth program, coming off of another health and wellness balance that we did in 2021. But we continued that in 2022, focusing on making sure that staff understood the importance of balancing. And then we looked at some of the gaps that we found in terms of what we needed delivered and the staff capacity. So we did a registry and file management system training. We also looked at building their capacity and understanding when they meet with trainees, that whole psychology 101 in terms of understanding that interaction with the trainees and to be empathetic when they speak with them, to see what their challenges are as they enter the workplace and as they continue in their 24 months. So they too could be able to understand what are some of the challenges and to deal with them from that place. We also felt it was necessary, because the officers are dealing in the workplace, that they understand the importance of industrial relations. And they are also dealing in a workplace where there are trade unions. So we also brought to them industrial relations 101, so they could understand the basics of what industrial relations are, and that the trainees also have a right. So in that understanding, the training provider has to always give um, consideration for natural justice. Yes, the person is a trainee, but we would want that if there are issues in the training environment, that the employer takes into consideration the process of natural justice and also give the trainees an opportunity to be heard and give them a chance for corrective behavior. So therefore, we wanted officers to understand that. So we brought to them Industrial Relations 101. Young people and behavior is another challenge, and therefore HIV is still alive and in Trinidad and Tobago. And therefore, we also brought to them HIV and AIDS training, because the HIV and AIDS unit is also part of the Ministry of Labor, and they are responsible for ensuring policy and adherence in the workplace. So we felt it was also necessary for the staff of the OJT to get that training and build that awareness and build that capacity where HIV and AIDS issues in the workplace is concerned, and they would be able to now deal with that, the importance of confidentiality and those issues. So we did bring also that to them. Another area we focused on is report writing and investigating and interviewing skills, because sometimes you go into the workplace, there's an issue, and it is important they know how to write succinctly, I should say, and bring those reports so that those could be examined, and we can now understand how we need to intervene in some of the workplace issues that we see with the trainees. We also developed our own guide for intervening, so the providers will also know that there are steps to be taken. And once there's issues with the trainee, that you don't just say to them, go back to the OJT. That is not the intent. It is a training program, and therefore it is important that corrective behavior and intervention be done to make sure that they reach the standard we would want them to reach.
Now, you saying these things, Ms. David, and when you list that out, eyeball it, whoo! But I'm wondering, what is it during this period in time that you're most proud of in terms of all the things, maybe something that you haven't even spoken about as yet, but during this period where there's been this, let's call it an overhaul, while work has still been happening, but what are you most proud of at this point in time?
What I'm most proud of at this point became is that at the OJT, we are focused on the whole training. That whole person that we are charged with the responsibility for putting out into the world of work, into building the next labor force. And with that, that was one of the reasons why we brought a psychologist on the program, because I felt it was important to focus on their mental health also, because young people do have issues and challenges. And that is one of the things I'm very, very proud of. But not only that, in terms of our focus on the trainees and their holistic development, in September of 2022, one of the things we did is launch our trainee development leadership series. Again, in 2021, with our providers, we went to them and we said, what are some of the important skills that you see if you're looking for new hire? And they said communications, leadership, and that is one of the things that they focused on. So we felt it was necessary to bring that opportunity to trainees within the program while they're with us for 2 years to do a leadership series. And we got the support from one of our providers, somebody who is close to us. He is a John Maxwell leadership coach, and he decided to collaborate with us and to do our first initiative of the trainee development leadership series. And BK, tomorrow, I should say, we are at that place where we are going to celebrate 154 young persons who would have stayed the course and come to the end of a 12-week series of leadership is not a position and becoming a person of influence. We would have gone through that 12 weeks with them. Mr. Jason Charles would have given us all the support, the time that we could not pay him for, and really worked with them to understand their own leadership. And it doesn't have to be that you are at a leadership position, a management position, to be that leader. And that is what I am most proud of in this 2022 period. And as we close our 20th year, we will celebrate with them tomorrow at the Cipriani Labor College, where we would have 154 young people graduating and being given an authentic John Maxwell certificate from the John Maxwell team tomorrow at the Cipriani Labor College.
It's definitely something to be proud of, and I'm sure while you are so proud, you're not going to be resting on your laurels, but I think you've just done the service of speaking to anyone who's a little skeptical about saying, I wonder if this program is for me, boy. So thank you very much, Mrs. Joann David, Director of the OJT program, and looking at achievements, goals recently and possibly going beyond during the on-the-job training program. And on behalf of the entire TTT News team, I'm Dike Rostant. This has been In Depth with me. Thank you so much for joining us.